such a different energy than what I was expecting. But let's roll into Clash of Champions. No pleasantries this week. We got a lot to get through. And let's just start with the championship matches. We had our Cruiserweight Championship on the pre-show. Drew Gulak defending his title successfully.
As nobody expected on this show.
Pretty much. There was a few title changes on this show, and a few I didn't see happening.
Yeah. This was interesting. It was a good match. The ending was bad.
Yeah.
Bad ending. But overall, it was decent for what it was. Hopefully they'll get a little more treatment down NXT. Because I'm pretty sure they had a number one contender match on the NXT's live broadcast.
Yeah, with NXT going live this week, I believe it was on the second hour of the show. Skim, yes, I was correct. Leo Rush successfully defeated Oney Lorcan to become the number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. So it does appear as though that is heading down towards the NXTs, and that Leo Rush is back, and that Drew Gulak has his next challenger. All of the things. And then we have the United States title match also on the pre-show. AJ Styles quickly disposing of Cedric Alexander.
I'm not all that surprised. It was a good match. AJ made Cedric look like $1 million during the match. And I wasn't surprised it was on the pre-show. It was literally the last match announced for the card.
Yeah, the one that had about 2 days
build. Really
build.
There because one person beat the other on Monday night.
I think you mean it was only there because every title had to be defended.
Yeah, and that person beat the other person that was holding the title on the Monday night before.
Yeah.
So, not surprised AJ retained. We'll have to see where we go from here.
Mm-hmm. Presumably, AJ Styles going to have to be, I would say, looking off at bigger and better things, but Cedric doesn't look to be finished with the OC just yet. Over on Raw, Cedric and the Viking Raiders going down in a losing effort to the entire OC. So, seems like those guys are tied together for a little bit longer, maybe another match at our next pay-per-view. Maybe with a little bit more build, too. And then we are on the main show. Now we can start flicking orders around, but let's start with the tag team matches. Raw first up. Roode and Ziggler take out Rollins and Strowman.
Not a bit of surprise. It was a decent match for what it needed to do. And so now we have Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler as tag team champions.
Yeah, as much as I would have loved Rollins and Strowman to have continued holding the titles for a little bit longer, it was pretty clear that wasn't going to be the case. There was maybe like a 2% chance of that ever happening. So most likely outcome here was Roode and Ziggler. The thing that Roode and Ziggler, I guess, opens up the most on Raw is that it's heel champs, and now you got to sort of strain your eyes a little bit to find a face team that's potentially going to go up against them next. Dun, dun, dun.
That may be where the draft comes into play.
That is true. The draft is, about a month away-ish?
I think it's like the 16th and 20th or something like that. It's like the third Friday in October and then the third Monday.
Roughly a month off.
So my early prediction is Heavy Machinery gets drafted to Raw.
Okay.
And they're the ones that will take on and beat Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's jump onto the SmackDown Tag Team Championships because those also changed hands. The New Day losing the belts to currently Raw superstars, The Revival.
And I was dumbfounded. But if what I think is going to happen happens, it makes total sense.
That was so
But
cryptic.
it's not something we can go over right now.
Is it something we need to talk about further Clash of Champions matches to get to?
Yeah, it's something to do with not only just a further match within the card, something to do with SmackDown too.
Yeah, we're going to try and have to intertwine a lot of the Raw and SmackDown stuff into it, but we'll get there.
Yeah, but we'll have to see where they go with it. The Revivals are decent. They're a good tag team. Can't really blame them. Just have no idea what their plans are for them.
Yep. I also just totally figured out what you were talking about. Women's Tag Team Championship, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross successfully defending against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville.
I would have liked to have seen Fire and Desire win the titles here, because I really like Sonya, but hey, your girl kept her title. She gets to keep holding on to it.
Even if she does head over to Raw and take a bit of a loss against Bayley and Sasha, but they're probably not going to go after the tag titles.
No, because they're the top four, two of the top four in the company, as far as the women go.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that the tag team champions would fall to one half of the SmackDown Women's Heavyweight Champions and person that's contending for the Raw Women's Championship. So yeah, that makes total sense.
And let's go into those women's titles while we're here as well. As you say, SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley successfully defending hers against Charlotte. In 4 minutes, Charlotte got squashed. Yeah, that's totes what happened.
She got nature boy'd. Totally something her father would have done.
It was quite a good reversal on that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a decent. I mean, it wasn't a long match, so it wasn't like anything special. But it built on Bayley's billing character, which is what it needed to do.
Pretty much, and then you can compare that 3-minute match on over to Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title that went just on 20 minutes, with Sasha Banks picking up the win, but not the championship.
Yeah, it was a great frickin' match. And then they ended up, after the match was over, because they hadn't announced it yet, that it was over, they ended up in the concession stand, and it became an epic match.
Any match that goes to the concession stand just takes a notch up, doesn't it?
Yes.
You keep asking for it, and then you get it when you don't expect it.
But the ending and everything made total sense, because we had to get to Hell in the Cell.
Mm-hmm.
It was obvious these two had to face off in that cell. And that's what we're going to get.
Yep. I believe that rematch is already announced, signed,
it's already been
and delivered.
Announced.
Yep. Then maybe we'll see what happens for the championship then. Yeah. So we're going to go to song soon, but that means before we go to song that we have to talk about something from Raw that was meant to be on the Clash of Champions card. Baron Corbin is now King Corbin.
Oh, how epic that was. That was a great match on Raw, by the way. What can you say? The gimmick is built for a heel. Is there a heel better at getting heat, regardless of the type of heat that it's supposed to be, than Baron Corbin right now?
No.
Yeah.
People hate Baron.
Yeah, and he's good at it. So him being king makes total sense. He was probably actually the person I figured would win the tournament from the beginning.
Easy to say in hindsight.
Yeah. So I would have loved to see Gable win it, but there's a ceiling. When you're a face, there's like a ceiling on what you can actually do as a king character.
Mm-hmm.
But with a heel, like Corbin especially, they can do anything they want. So this is going to be fun to watch. And it was fun to watch Gable absolutely go to town on Corbin in his coronation on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
He broke everything. The crown, the scepter, the royal throne, all of it was broken.
I also love the play on words where we're going from Corbin from being a baron to a king. You know, both noble words. But as our transition, the theme we're playing this week is Baron Corbin, because we're still playing this weird game where if you beat the person whose theme we played last, ignoring pay-per-views, we play your theme. That's how it works, until it doesn't. So this is Baron Corbin's theme. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM 9.0, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady. He's Josh. We still got about 5 odd matches to go from Clash, and plenty more after that. I'm gonna jump back in at the Intercontinental Championship. Shinsuke Nakamura successfully defending and stopping The Miz from his 50 millionth title reign.
It was a good match. Miz and Shinsuke worked well, and Sammy was hilarious. What can you say? It looks like the next feud has already been teed up for Shinsuke too.
Yeah, he's right over on SmackDown. They're poking at Ali already. Poke.
Yeah, because Ali beat him before Sammy joined him. So, and I guess that in a way that makes perfect sense as a throwback before they brought in Miz and the whole thing. And you know what? I wanted to see that match. That's going to be a great match.
Yeah. Whether it's pay-per-view or just on a SmackDown, it'll still be a good match. I'm sure leading up to that, we'll get Ali versus Sami Zayn as well, if Sami is going to be getting in the ring. Which does also open up a second great match to see there in terms of styles. I think those two would do pretty well together. And then, yeah, as you say, Shinsuke Ali also going to be a good one. But I'm going to use this point talking about the SmackDown mid-card. Let's put a little bit of effort over here over to the Raw mid-card as Mike Kanellis continues to just be played with. I'm trying to think of a good phrasing here that's still PG. By his wife, and gets beaten down by not one but 2 men.
Yeah, he gets upset at one person thinking that he was the baby daddy when he wasn't, and then you just have a clueless Ricochet as a result that doesn't know really how to respond and react, and then he beats Mike up in an official match.
Yeah.
And then Maria comes out and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't Ricochet. It was this man." And then somebody who hasn't been there in months comes out. Rusev.
It was a return.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest circumstances for one, but still a return. I don't know where this storyline's gonna go, okay? Because we had Street Profits, we have Maria, we have Mike, Ricochet, Rusev. I don't know how much of this was throwaway. I don't know what's happening.
It was definitely a comedy segment.
Or maybe Rusev's going to be teaming up with Maria Kanellis. We'll just ignore Lana.
I mean, she wasn't there, so she may not be a part of the equation now.
Dun, dun, dun. Let's jump on back to Clash of Champions. Hopefully, if I've done this right, we have the 2 big title matches and 1 more left to go. Let's talk about the Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan no DQ match.
Awesome match. These two brought it.
And then we were proven wrong.
I thought it was going to be a good match because I really like both guys, so I thought it was going to be a good match.
I mean, with the ending.
It was better than I thought it was going to be.
The ending proved us wrong.
Yeah, the ending. Yeah, I will admit, I marked out for 5 seconds when I saw him, and then I was like, oh, they put him back together with Rowan.
Yeah. They have their names back, though, now. They got full names.
Yeah. But yeah, we have the Bludgeon Brothers back. I think
the
they were
Wyatt
actually
family.
referred to it as on the actual television show.
Okay.
Could be wrong on that.
On WWE.com, it's listed out with full names, so...
Yeah, I know. But Harper and Rowan do make a formidable duo. That's for sure. But it was great seeing them absolutely demolish Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns at the end of SmackDown. It made them look bigger as stars. So let's see where they go. And it almost looks like it's not a partnership this time.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like Rowan's in charge.
It's a different dynamic than we've seen from them. You know, we've seen Bray in charge, and then we've seen Luke, I guess back in the Wyatt family, almost want to hold back Rowan, who's trying to go more crazy. We've seen Rowan being his like super smart Rubik's Cube solving guy. We've seen Luke be just sort of a woodsman. Then they came back with some big hammers, and now they're doing something different again.
Yeah. And the kind of character they seemed to give Rowan was almost similar to that genius gimmick that he had. Just more of an evil guy. That he just believes he's physically and mentally superior than everybody else around him.
He's definitely got one of those. And let's wait and see for the other one. So now we're down to our big 2 championship matches, but let's put on the brakes. Before we get there, there was another title not officially booked, but still defended. And we got the 24/7 championship.
Yeah, our truth was hilarious when he was in the middle of Alexa Bliss's interview, and then she sold him out. And then tried to pin him during their tag team battle match.
But
he
was
escaped
unique
with his title.
And it counted as defended.
Yes.
Yeah, he made it out of Clash of Champions, but didn't make it all the way through Raw.
No, he didn't make it to Raw.
True.
He lost it earlier in the day, then got it back.
We're going to skip over who he lost it to.
Yeah, he lost it to not Kane, Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knoxville.
Yep. That's all. I just wanted to mention it. That's all I've got. And let's keep going before we run out of too much time, because both of these titles have quite a bit of history coming up. WWE Championship, Kofi Kingston successfully defending against Randy Orton.
Another good match. Right decision. Kofi's really did need to stay as champion. Especially now that we know who his next challenger will be.
And they put a due-by date on Kofi's title reign.
I don't think they did.
Oh, you twisty twerving me.
Remember, I talked earlier about if it's something that I have an idea of happens.
And now it's time for Josh's fantasy booking.
The SmackDown title match makes sense for them to lose the titles.
Shoot.
During the live SmackDown, during the title match, Kofi is getting beat up, obviously, as what's going to expect to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But before the pinfall, Big E gets involved in the match and gets Kofi disqualified.
Okay.
Kofi retains the championship, and that begins the road to Big E versus Kofi.
Okay.
Because Kofi wouldn't want Big E to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Big E, of course, being the guy he is, can't help but help. And that just creates friction and jealousy, and boom, ready made feud.
Easy peasy. And I'm sorry for both of them for getting in the way of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and also the fact that the WWE Championship match on October 4th is literally 2 days before Hell in a Cell. That's another reason I don't think Kofi loses.
Fair enough.
At least to lose the title.
Well, we'll see what happens there, because the Revival were wrestling on SmackDown, obviously, in the main event, New Day versus Orton and Revival. They hold the SmackDown Championships at the moment, but with this draft coming up, we don't quite know what's going to play out just now. There's a lot of things happening, draft coming up, SmackDown going over to Fox, changing days of the week, NXT going live. There's a lot of things happening. And that means that there's a lot of things changing as well. And that makes it unpredictable and fun.
Yeah.
I was going to try and tie that into Firefly Funhouse, but instead I'm just going to straight cold transition over to Seth Rollins successfully defending his title. I lied when I opened the show saying there was a lot of title changes. There was 2.
It was a great match between them. I felt they brought it as well. It was, as expected, Seth retained. There was no other way to go in that situation.
Yeah.
But then, the Fiend.
He gonna murder you.
Yeah, he definitely got a hold of Seth. And during the promo where he was like, celebrating his title defense on Raw, he got Bray cut in with the Firefly Funhouse segment, and Seth just looked really, really creeped out, which is what we need for that.
Bray's getting to him.
This is going to be interesting. We'll have to see where they go with the Hell in Cell match, but I do think we might actually see Bray Wyatt as the Universal Champion.
Yes.
In about 3 weeks.
And something to note as well, at the end of Raw, the booked match was Seth Rollins versus Robert Roode. A whole lot of people putting their nose in, getting involved in the match. And then someone who's never held the 24/7 championship, Kane, comes on down. And it looks like the odds are in Seth's favor. I'm going to put the odds in anyone's corner who's got Kane by their side until the Fiend comes into the equation.
Yep. You took out Kane, and in a lot of ways, the Fiend was, and Bray Wyatt's stuff earlier was kind of ringing true here, where it was, he was talking about how Seth's done bad things, like turning on the Shield, and the stuff he did with the Authority. But he was forgiven by the fans. But then he was asked for forgiveness and was never given it. And then the Fiend takes out Kane, who was trying to help Seth.
It's a lot of intertwined stuff. And the Fiend's list of people he's taken out is pretty high now. And got some really good talent on there. He's taken out both Kane and Mankind. Both people who, I guess you could say, elements of are wrapped up in this weird Fiend, future Universal Champion, putting all my eggs in one basket character. Don't knock the basket out of my hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything is in it.
Yeah. I'm not going to. It's time to move on so that you can do some gloating.
Where are we gloating? Hold on, do I have time to gloat? What do we got?
We've got about 2 minutes.
Okay, what am I talking about?
NXT.
NXT. I don't think we have time to run down the entire card here.
No, but there's one particular thing that you can gloat about.
Oh my god. Things are gloat. You intro it. That way I can quickly think.
The Undisputed Era prophecy being fulfilled?
Gotcha. Okay. I have my mind in other places. Yes, as you say, Roderick Strong defeats the Velveteen Dream with a lot of help and is the North American champion, leading to all 4 members holding all of the gold, other than the women's title, in NXT.
I bow my head. You were right.
Yay.
It took longer than you thought for it to happen, but you're right. It did happen.
I mean, NXT's first live show coming out of the gate strong. We got title match on the first hour. Now we've got, strong heel stable with all the belts. You want the entire roster to tumble over them. We'll see how it plays out. But I think it also played a lot into the final match on the card, which was Matt Riddle versus Killian Dane in a street fight. I know I'm running out of time, but I do want to mention it. Quite a good fight, but ending ultimately in just sort of everybody getting involved, scrapping around, that classic first episode finish where you're like, it's pandemonium! And then Killian Dane just doing like an awesome flip, as Killian Dane does.
Yeah, this will be interesting to play off. I do know that William Regal did announce another match between them, and there was a stipulation, but I don't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see how it goes. But for now, NXT starting off strong. No pun intended on Roderick Strong's name. That's all we got time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRadio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRadio, and we'll see you all next week.